Hi everyone, it's already Wednesday, May 12, 2021, and you're watching me, Nikki Yu, also known as Business Trader, for the Awesome 10X Philippine Market Update. So a few news for you. I want you to understand what's happening all over the region. Right now, Taiwan stocks, as of May 12, sank about 8% in 14 months because of virus woes and tech rout. So the Taiwan index fell as much as 10% from its April highs, narrowly missing a correction. Investors are fearing growing COVID cases to weigh on their economy. So you might have thought that we are out of the woods, at least in Taiwan. Apparently not. Taiwan stocks actually finished the session down, and as much as 9%, the worst intraday loss since 1969. This is, guys, a 10% drop in the index in a day. The gauge narrowly missed a technical correction. Heavyweight Taiwan Semiconductor and Honhai were among the biggest drags, down 2 and 5% respectively. Free fall. Taiwan stocks are sinking as much as 10% on Wednesday. The sell-off is marking a sharp turn as the equity index ranked among the Asia's best performers before it started to retreat at the end of April. So we know that Taiwan has largely increased their COVID-19 alert levels, citing Health Minister Chen Shih-chung. The plunge actually prompted their National Stabilization Fund to hold a meeting to intervene to stem off that sell-off. Just assume that the Philippine index dropped 10% overnight. So that's what's happening in Taiwan. And this is the cases. Worldwide, there's about 625,000 new cases as of May 10, 3.3 million deaths worldwide. So far, 10% of that, 50% of all the cases are happening in India, with 329,942 cases in India. And so far, there's only been 1,340,000,000 vaccine doses administered in 175 countries. So far as well, from last year to this year, January 2020, the entire world is still up 20%. Global stocks, which is actually underscoring the fact that this COVID recovery is not even all throughout the world. So there are some countries that are still having pain: India, Taiwan, Philippines, Brazil. So you are seeing that the elevated levels in Taiwan is showing a potential more collapse. There are concerns, especially on technology shares, especially for the next second half of Taiwan, due to the rising manufacturing costs and lower margins. Volumes are surging in Taiwan. Over 10 billion shares are traded daily recently. And these are local investors increasingly very bearish as there's a widening coronavirus outbreak threatening Taiwan's status as one of the safest places in the world to ride out the pandemic. Forced selling by leveraged retail played a role in Wednesday's swoon. Margin debt in Taiwan's stock market almost doubled in 6 months as it actually grew. It's into its highest since 2011. The value total on stocks in Taiwan Stock Exchange reached $758 billion, a fresh record high. Why am I talking about this? Because it has implications in the Philippine market. In the Philippine markets, I think that what happened in the market is when we reached 7,200, most people in the Philippines never really assumed that the recovery was in place. So I was telling somebody that the Philippine markets was going down, killing me softly style. It's not going down 10% in a day, but notice from 7.2, we're down to 6.2. We could go down back to 5.7 or 5.5 as the Philippine markets continues to be killed slowly and slowly. Last night, you've got a 4% contraction in the GDP in the Philippines. And most of the news in the Philippine front hasn't really been good. Now, I'm not saying that we will go up or recover with good news. Definitely, we could recover in the sense of bad news as long as we do measures. But in the upcoming next 3 weeks or next 2 months, the only thing that is giving good news in the Philippine markets is the Monday Nissan IPO. This Monday Nissan IPO underscores that there are companies that will continue to have cash flows and there's power in brands. We've got Lucky Me, Pancit Canton, we've got Fita, Skyflakes. Please check out our Monday Nissan IPO coverage. And that is the only lone bright spot that we could see in the Philippine market. Nonetheless, let's try to see what is an MSCI Philippine Index and what does it have to do with what's going to happen in the Philippine market in the next 2 weeks. So for those who aren't aware, there's always an MSCI rebalancing. MSCI is Morgan Stanley Composite Index. With the advent of passive funds all throughout the world, there is such a thing as MSCI Philippines. This is similar to an exchange-traded fund. This is the EPHE that you see abroad. This is the way that USA and a lot of foreign investors expose themselves to the Philippine market with a stock that is traded in the New York Stock Exchange, which is EPHE. This means that they don't have to convert their dollars into pesos. They don't have to open an account in Call Financial or Wealth Securities or whatsoever Philippine brokerage firm just to get a taste of the Philippine markets. They don't need to buy SM directly. They can just buy EPHE, and that gives them an exposure to SM, URC, Ayala Land, BDO, whatsoever. So this August 2021, you'll get a quarterly index review. And November, February 2022, May 2022, August 2022. May, August, February, so 2, 5, 8, 11, those are critical months. And that's the reason why every May, every February, every November, every August, you always have volatility. These 4 months of the year equals opportunity, guys. Every time volatility happens, it equals opportunity. In this month's opportunity basket, MSCI announced a deletion of PureGold and Robinson's Retail from its mid-cap basket. So let me share to you what exactly happened. Deleted Aboitiz Power, Mega World, PureGold. Addition, CNPF, Mega World, PureGold, Robinson's Retail in the small cap index. So what you only have to realize here is that you've got volatility in index names, and that's going to be an opportunity for you and me. Whether deleted or added, what's important is what we have detected for over like 5-10 years prior. The additions and the deletions actually don't matter. What matters is the drops in the market are to be bought in an MSCI exaggerated sell-off. So you're seeing so far, let's take a look. You've heard Aboitiz Power, Mega World, PureGold, and Robinson's Retail, and Century Tuna. 5 stocks. So if it goes up, it's a sell. If it goes down, it's an auto buy. That's how you play the MSCI Philippine Market Index. Now, we have to understand these things. Most people don't know, Nikki, I don't understand. What is MSCI Philippines? The MSCI Philippines is a dollar-denominated basket designed to measure the PSEI. In fact, most of the foreigners don't even buy the PSEI. They just buy the EPHE, which is the MSCI Philippines. And if you'll notice, for the last 13 years, 2007 to 2020, the MSCI Philippines has been the go-to. That's the exposure of the foreigners. They don't buy. With the advent of exchange-traded funds, people have become lazy. Lazy in the sense that they're not buying specific stocks. They're just buying the index. In this case, they're just buying MSCI Philippines. So over the last 10 years, the MSCI Philippines had a CAGR annualized of about 4%. So the Philippines isn't really an outperformer. The emerging market was just 3.5%. The MSCI IMI is 9%. So you're seeing that MSCI Philippines is just tracking the entire 10 years CAGR of about 4%. Not so good. Nonetheless, if you invest in the bad times, like last year, you're up about 16%. Not that good compared to the emerging markets, which are up 50% last year. And if you bought specific companies, you would have been up 500%, 300% specific stocks. Nonetheless, let's understand the drawdowns of this index fund, or at the very least, the constituents. So this is the reason why in the Philippine market, SM Prime, Ayala Land, SM Investments, Ayala Corporation, BDO, JG Summit, BPI, ICT, URC, PLDT always has a bid. If it goes down 40%, 50%, it always has a bid, with or without fundamentals. Why? Because EPHE always has fund flow. Fund flow in or fund flow out. That's exactly what it means. 10 stocks comprise 40%, which means, guys, that since I said Monde Nissan is going to go into the Philippine market, And given how huge the market cap of that company is, it's going to be about $300 billion IPO. Sorry, I think 200 billion, 150 to $200 billion IPO. That means that it's an automatic entry in your MSCI Philippines next year. It's also going to be part of the top 10 constituents. I'd argue that, Modernization could possibly topple PLDT, getting a 1 to 2% stake in the index per se, which means that a lot of funds are forced to buy that. If you hear about people saying, oh, Tesla is elevated because it's entering S&P 500, that happened last year, 2020. It's a forced buy or a forced sell. Every time you're included in an index, you are already top tier. You're a blue chip. So when you're in the top 10 constituents of the index, everyone is forced to buy you or forced to sell you. If you're wondering what are the awesome 10x picks in the Philippine market, if you don't need alpha, this is enough. A beta play, just buying 40-50% drops on SM Prime, Ayala Land, SM Investments, Ayala Corp, JG Summit, PPI, ICT, URC, PLDT, BDO is enough for you to make money. That's really what it is. Meaning, if the index is 7.2, you don't need for index to go down 5,000. If you see these companies go down 50% from its peak, that's enough, 50 to 70%. Because you're always aware, there will always be cash flows, cash dividends, and definitely a fund flow. So sharing to you the index announcements today. Okay, the index is not happening only in the Philippine market, it's all over, across the board. You're seeing actually that China's adding Meituan, Alibaba, Ganfeng Lithium, and a lot of people try to understand how MSCI global indices are actually done as a review. But definitely, I'm just going to read it for you. MSCI Global Standard Indexes, 109 securities are added, 96 securities are going to be deleted. The three largest additions by market caps are C Limited, Singapore, Volvo, Sweden, and Palantir, USA. Congrats, guys. We love C Limited. We like Palantir. We got it. Okay. Any drops, you know that people would buy C Limited and Palantir. Now, that's global standard. Everyone entering MSCI Global indices would have a stake on it. Now, in the global small cap indices, this is where your some of your Philippines are actually entering. Small caps, it tells you that our pure golds, while you might think they're big, they're actually just small cap in the realm of the bigger world. 594 additions, 220 deletions, and from the MSCI ACWI Small Cap Index. Global Investable Market Indices, there are 609 additions, 222 deletions from the MSCI ACW Investable Market Index. Global All Cap Indices, there's about 661 additions, 66 deletions. Okay, let's read the biggest chunk, In China, there will be 60 additions, 26 deletions. The three large additions are Ganfeng Lithium, 1772. We like that. It's the electric vehicle component. All the batteries, all the storages. Ningxia Baofeng Energy Shares and Farmaron Beijing A. There are 195 additions, 275 deletions. As for the MSCI China A onshore indices, there's 26 additions, 77 deletions. The large additions are Ningxia Baofeng Energy, Farmaron Beijing, and Jiangsu Eastern Airlines. I'm not sure, Jiangsu Eastern A. There's 200 additions, 213 deletions from the MSCI onshore small cap indices. More and more, guys, I know that the MSCI additions and deletions, although I don't know the exact formula there has to do with market cap. If many people value turnover is high and the market cap is high, it's a definite entry in the MSCI. Not just MSCI, but also PSCI index. So that's something that you have to be aware of. So let's take a look at the overreaction opportunities in the Philippine market. Right now, let's understand the index. You'll notice that the market value, while down, is at least good, 6 billion pesos. 6 billion pesos, higher value traded versus the 3 to 4 billion that we've been seeing. Now let's take a look how huge the index movers are. We're seeing 5% drops on Mega World, 282. We're seeing 4% drop on MPI, 3.64. I want to highlight the big drops because only in the big drops are there opportunities because we want to buy. Mega World 5% drop, MPI 4% drop, SM Prime 4% drop, Pure Gold 3% drop, Aboitiz Power 3% drop. Let's focus on the top 5. Mega World, MPI, SM Prime, Pure Gold, Aboitiz Power. Okay, let's read those prices. Mega World 382 and 282, MPI is 364, Pure Gold is at 32.95, Aboitiz Power is 2305, and then MPI, URC, what are big? SM Prime is 32.5. Ayala Land is 31.95. What is attractive in this basket? What's attractive in this basket is if Pure Gold actually drops 30 below this month because of this MSCI addition, deletion, and all these volatility. Another idea is, of course, to watch out for Mega World dropping to about 2.5 or 2.6. Let's see. Let's understand how low the market will rebalance. How many days do you have for this MSCI rebalancing end of the month? It's May 12 right now. You've got about 15 days, 2 weeks time. Let's watch how the stocks will fall. You don't need to look at the index. Look at the index constituent that you will make money from, whether that's Mega World, whether that's Pure Gold, whether that's Robinson's Retail. 49.8 in Robinson's Retail could be an opportunity, guys. So we've seen already buybacks happen in Robinson's Retail. These companies are cash flow rich. How you see and interpret Monde Nissin is how you also interpret Robinson's Retail and how you interpret Pure Gold. Granted, you won't make a lot of money, but can I realistically make about 20-30% if I hold and buy Bloom? Sorry, not Bloom. Well, although Bloom 6 pesos is good, no? If I buy and hold, let's say Robinson's Retail, now that it's cratering to about 49 pesos, now that Pure Gold is cratering to 32 pesos, we'd argue that the answer is yes. You will make maybe 5-10% in the short term. And then in the long term, when you see that exaggeration of a discount, you can perhaps make about 50%. So we are eyeing those names. I'm eyeing in the next 2 weeks, index constituent discounts. We'll notify you when we already know the drop. But so far, just seeing by the charts, you can't actually underestimate how big an MSCI flow could drop, no? So Pure Gold dropping from about 54, can it drop to about 26, 27? Already notify yourselves. You get a ball pen, you put a bid. I want to buy Pure Gold at 27, good until the end of May 30, 2021. Just put it already. Robinson's Retail, put a bid. The drop was 44 pesos in March 2020. Put a bid. 45, 44, 46, bid and buy. Let's wait it up. Now let's take a look. Mega World, also discussed in this MSCI deletion. Will Mega World fall down to these lows of about 2.35? Put a bid. Aboitiz Power hasn't really fallen, but let's say it does go down to $20, 20 pesos, put a bid. Essentially, what Nikki's telling you, what Awesome Tenex is telling you is, buy Aboitiz Power, Pure Gold, Robinson's Retail, and forget about CNPF. Sure, CNPF in the short term could rally about 23, 24, but I'm not really willing to play momentum. I want to play the bargains in the market, and whether it's down 60% or 70% from its peak, that's where I'm focused upon. So I'm going to focus on Pure Gold. Let's say it drops 26, go in. Okay, let's take a look at any questions, if any. Thoughts on FA and Merrimark? Okay, most of the companies in the Philippines are actually very speculative. Therefore, it's not unrealistic to see FA going down to about 1.5 after hitting 17 cents to $3, at 70 cents to 3 pesos. So for now, I'd say that FA is on the downtrend, can't understand where its support will be. Could be support at 1.5, could be support at 0.8, resistance at 2.3, 2.27. Merrimark also dropping, high of 7 pesos here, 8 pesos, dropping to about 4. Be careful, could drop to about 3 pesos, downtrend for both. Thoughts on Mega World and MPI? I think it's a buying opportunity. So Mega World, let's wait for the entire market to sell off. It could fall to 2.5, 2.3 for Mega World, but I think that is a buying opportunity. Let's wait for the end of the month. Just post a bid and let's see whether that bid gets done. GTC bid, buy low. MPI, also an opportunity. We already know that Manny Pangilinan was buying 3.6 below. Let's assume you can buy MPI at about 3.3 or 3.2 or 3 peso. That is a buying opportunity. So I'm going to bid MPI, avoid this power if it goes 20 pesos. Basically, I'm okay to buy MPI, Mega World, Pure Gold, Robinson's Retail. The drops are good. Thoughts on the news that ASEAN will be included in the index? Possibly a sell on good news because usually additions are being sold by the market. If you understand before, PLDT got added and that's why PLDT was 3,000. That was the actual peak. So it's possible that ASEAN, if it's added, is the sell on good news type. You want to sell at 7 pesos, 7.20. Not knowing, I'm not sure if it goes to 8 pesos, but it's probably a sell on news, sell on good news. I like to buy on bad news and sell on good news. As a long-term investor, do I still have to take profits every now and then? Like when stocks go up, after being included in the index, as you mentioned, yes. You want to sell on good news on Century Tuna. You want to sell on good news on ASEAN, no matter if you're a long-term investor, because you're seeing in the Philippine market for the last 10 years, if you don't buy and sell, your money will always evaporate. Notice, Mega World, 2 to 3 to 4. Fell down back to 3, back down to 2. The Philippine market is cyclical. It doesn't go all-time highs. Therefore, I think that you guys have to understand the Philippines is not a buy and hold zone. The Philippines is strictly a buy and sell zone. Every time index goes 7,000, sell. 7,1, 7,5, 8,000, sell. Why is it not going up all the way? Because the Philippines has cyclical trends. The companies are not secular. When you say secular, it just goes up all-time highs. And tendency is the Philippines is not really hitting all-time highs because the majority of your stocks, SM Prime, cyclical. The malls are cyclical in nature. People are wondering whether SM and SM Prime could really be an online shopping land, you know, with C Limited and Alibaba's Lazada fighting them. You've got questions on Ayala Land's land, residential sales, office commercial sales. There are limits to how high it can go. So in that light, because your Ayala Land, your SM, your BDOs have a cyclical nature, it's hard to actually see that money keeping all-time highs. Now, you can argue that ASEAN is a secular trend because solar is growing for the next foreseeable 5 to 10 years. Nonetheless, you have to ask yourself, is it priced in? After 1.8 to about 8 pesos, it could drop to about 6 pesos or 5 pesos. So those are concerns that you have to always think about, and it has to linger in your minds that growth is not going to be 25 to 30% year in, year out. Could be slow in some years. So is it priced in or not? So that should explain to you why the Philippines is really a buy and sell type of index. You don't have S-curves. You don't have exponential parabolics in the Philippines because we don't have a company here that hits triple-digit growth year in, year out. Sad to say, we don't have that. So, yun. Hope that you learned something and use the MSCI as an opportunity to load up on values. That's what we have. The Philippines has values. You've got companies that are cash flow machines. Robinson's Retail, Pure Gold, getting pummeled. Mega World has 10 billion pesos income, has a lot of land assets there. It's gonna be existing with the next 5 to 10 years. So those are opportunities. Your Pure Golds, your Robinson's Retail, MPIs, these are great companies. So you'll make 30 to 50% if you get a good discount this month of May. So remember what I just said, 2, 5, 8, 11, 4 months of the year, you've got 4 cash flow machines every year in the Philippines, every time there's an MSCI index rebalancing. So deploy it when opportunity strikes. Those who fail, you just missed out. If you don't use that opportunity, you'll always miss. That's all. Thanks. 4 months of the year, quarterly rebalancing. Make sure you take advantage.